Ross.
Okay.
I hope I didn't just read right, you talk, Ross.
That's grand. So, like Laurent, I apologise if my English is hard to understand. My Irish isn't much better though. So, just like some of the other speakers here give you an indication of the profile of beef production in Ireland. Okay, and if we look at the beef or suckler beef herds in 2011, you can see that in total there was somewhere in the region of 846,000 births, of which about 35,000 were pedigree registered beef births, somewhere around 4%. Further, 35% were same sire and dam breed combinations, and about 61% were where there was a different breed of sire on a dam. So a lot of crossbreeding going on there. So you can see then the major breeds then in terms of the sire, the Charla, Limousin, Angus, Belgian Blue, Simmental, Hereford are probably the main breeds with some Shorthorn, Blonde Aquitaine, and some more smaller breeds as well. But beef production in Ireland is not just about the suckler herd. When we look at the dairy herd as well, we're looking at somewhere in the region of just over 1 million births, of which 36% are dairy cows mated onto a beef sire. So there's quite a lot of beef matings in dairy herds. So you can see there the list of sires, Holstein Friesian obviously making up the majority, but a lot of Angus and Hereford and Limousin would be probably the three main beef breeds used on dairy cows, with Belgian Blue as well. So looking at the ICBF genetic evaluation, I suppose on the left-hand side you could break it up into 4 categories of traits: calving traits, weanling traits, carcass traits, and maternal traits. And the calving ease traits are calving ease, mortality, and gestation. And you can see in the green there where we're relying on farmer information for our calving information. So on a scale of 1 to 4 is recorded, and mortality obviously is a dead or alive at birth. In terms of gestation, there is some industry link up there through the structures developed by ICBF, where the technicians record automatically on their handhelds now. That information is stored up onto the database, and it's used in tandem with calving dates to actually give predictions of genetic merit for gestation. In the weanling traits then, you can see that there we have direct weaning weight, again, which there is an industry link up there through the livestock marts or the auctions, where some animals are weighed individually, and that weight data is captured. But there's also a lot of on-farm weight recording, mainly in pedigree herds, but also some commercial herds are involved in weight recording. Live weight is probably more picked up through the livestock marts, and we term it as an older age category from 300 to 600 days. And also a trait that specifically comes from the livestock marts, we term calf price per kilo, is coming from the livestock marts on a daily basis. And finally then, linear score traits, which are recorded really in pedigree herds, but also some progeny testing herds. And these are performed by a number of trained technicians who are spread throughout the country and cover across a range of the breeds. Okay, and they record somewhere up around 24 or 5 traits, of which about 14 or 15 are currently evaluated. In terms of the carcass traits then, feed intake is recorded in the Tully Bull Station, and with the remaining carcass traits then being recovered through link-ups with the factories. So the traits that are there at the moment are carcass weight, carcass conformation, and carcass fat. We're working on having 4 new traits for the autumn 2012, based around digital images recorded. So there's meat yields in terms of medium value yields, high value yields, low value yields. So Thierry Pabio has just finished his PhD on that particular work. Finally, the maternal traits then, age of first calving, maternal weaning weight, cow calving interval, cow survival, and cull cow weight are the traits being evaluated for maternal characteristics. If we look at the levels of data that we have on those particular traits, we can see that there is quite a lot of information in the database over a period of 9 or 10 years now on calving traits, somewhere up on 3.6 million. Similarly for mortality. Much less information in gestation as an insemination is required there, so we wouldn't have the same level of data. We can see various levels down there in terms of the data that we have. The data, I suppose, that you see in red would be the data that we'd like to have a lot more of in terms of a linear scoring. Feed intake, obviously having trained technicians and a beef performance station it's expensive data to collect. And the other one in red there is maternal weaning weight, where we actually need to know the sire and the maternal grandsire on the of the calf, and because we have a lot of commercial cows in the population, a lot of them don't actually have a sire known. Currently, about 35% of the calves born in 2011 would have had a dam, would have a sire known and the sire on the dam known as well. So that's a trait that we're looking to put increased emphasis on to try and get a lot more data in. And evaluations are all run on a multi-trait and multi-breed basis. Okay, so all breeds and crosses are included in the same evaluation. So we look at the origins of bulls that were used in pedigree herds over the years. They're going from 2000 to 2011. There's 5 or 6 different categories there, working up from the bottom, which is the main category. Pedigree calves born mainly by an Irish bred stock bull. There you can see that it's currently running at somewhere around 45%. And the category just above it is progeny by an Irish bred AI bull. The category just above that then is progeny by a foreign bred stock bull, and the second or the third highest category then progeny by a foreign bred AI bull. Finally, the top 2 categories are progeny where a bull came out of the Tully progeny testation and ended up either natural service or AI. But just to make the point on the importance of collaboration in terms of interbeef. From an Irish perspective, you can see that up to 30% of the calves in pedigree herds are born out of foreign sires, be it mainly foreign AI bulls, but also some foreign stock bulls. Okay, and if we look at the commercial herds, then we can see that the picture is slightly different, where 75% of the calves born are by an Irish bred AI bull. Okay, with also a proportion there, 13% where progeny are by a foreign bred AI bull, and 1% where the progeny are by a foreign bred stock bull. So just to give you an indication that there are subtle differences between the pedigree and commercial herds, but there is a strong influence of foreign bloodlines coming in on a yearly basis. So our current approach to using foreign data, we include foreign EBVs where they're available, and they're integrated into the Irish evaluation as correlated traits using Mix99 software. So the traits that we use are direct and maternal weaning weight. From France, there's about 7 breeds. UK, 4 breeds. Muscle and skeletal EBVs from France for about 7 breeds, and some ultrasound muscle EBVs from the UK on about 4 breeds. So they have been integrated for about 3 years now into the routine evaluations. So in participation in interbeef, just to summarise where we are with the participation of the Irish data, we identified about 500,000 animals with a weaning weight in the Irish evaluation and created a pedigree file based on those animals, so somewhere in the region of 1.25 million animals. And they were loaded to the interbeef database there a couple of weeks ago. We have some issues back there, about 24 date of birth issues, which we have identified and will be looking to rectify shortly. So I suppose from an Irish perspective, looking at what's our wish list from participation in an interbeef project, I suppose the first one would be to get access to the interbeef pedigree file to correct foreign animal pedigrees that are in the Irish database currently, and also maybe some dates of birth that may be wrong, so that first and foremost to make sure that the pedigrees we have in the Irish database are correct. And then in the short term, we currently use EBVs from a range of countries, but what we would like to do would be maybe to get a more representative sample of EBVs. The likelihood is that the EBVs we're getting are a selected group, so there is a high likelihood for selection bias in there. In the short term, that is one of our aspirations to actually get a more representative sample of EBVs from those countries that are sending data to us. And finally, obviously an international evaluation, including Irish data, that is available to Irish beef farmers to make selection decisions based on a world population would be the most the highest priority in the long term. So I suppose identifying some technical issues that we would see for some national evaluation centres from an interbeef project. Interbeef evaluations are likely to be performed by a single, by trait and by breed. So from our point of view, our national evaluation is based on multi-trait and multi-breed. Obviously, a lot of other countries are single breed, but also some single trait evaluations. And from our point of view, it's going to be an important question: is how do we integrate EBVs from single trait interbeef evaluations into multi-trait domestic evaluations with greater than 20 traits, which is our current beef evaluation has about 23 traits in it. So correlated traits may be an option in that regard. Just a quick update on our genomic selection project. We have about 2,500 Illumina high-density genotypes from Angus, Belgian Blue, Hereford, Limousin, Charolais and Simmental. The ultimate goal there would be a crossbreed one-step genomic selection approach. Within breed genomic predictions are good. Dunnaberry and Chagas is doing the bulk of the work on that, but he also said there is always room for improvement in that regard. He would stress that we need an international approach in terms of getting accurate early predictors. So an international evaluation where we get, where there is combined phenotypes would seem like the most logical approach going forward. We are also part of the Genome Canada project, where they're sequencing founder animals as part of an international initiative which has been driven by Ben Hayes. So that's about a summary of it. Thanks for listening.
Okay.